good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome. Welcome to the Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. And I'm so excited to introduce to you our guest. We've just been giggling and laughing right before the show started. I want to introduce you to Dyan Starr, who is a numerologist and an author of Hallowed Be Thy Name, in which she shares her unique, simple yet profound star system of numerology she discovered. She spent almost 3 decades as a court reporter in the LA County Superior Court. Currently, she resides in Hemet, California with two of her 3 children. Her wildest dreams came true in October of 2023 when she finally became a grandmother. So, hello, Dyan.
Hello, beautiful sister Enolia. Oh my goodness. I'm so
What?
excited to be with you. And then we had to stop talking so we could push record.
It's like we have so much to share and so much to talk about. And it's just been a beautiful whirlwind of just this love going back and forth. My heart is full and overflowing, I have to tell you.
Oh, mine too. Oh my gosh. And I would love to share this, but you had given me a blessing that I still feel. And
Oh,
it was amazing. And I can't wait for this new chapter. And because you're giving birth to this next phase, and women everywhere get to have a voice, a place where they're safe, because that's not always the case. Yes. Oh
thank
my.
you so much. Yeah, when it comes, it's going to be a whopper. It really, really is. And I'm excited. I'm so, so excited. We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you.
All right.
Dyan Starr and the Starr System, like everyone knows about numerology. I'd say at a high, 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 high level. And for those of you who don't, get ready for your numbers because Dyan truly, truly embodies numbers. She doesn't know numbers, she embodies them. And when I say embodies, she embodies the frequency of every number iterated that comes from her mouth. And I say this because you've taken the time to document what my name means and some of my personal journey through numerology. And I could feel it. So, talk to us of what differs the star system from what's that status quo of numerology.
Oh, I love this question. So, my system is different, and it was given to me clearly, and I can't say when. So, traditional numerology, which I love and hold dear, that was my first numerology teacher. And the reason it was is because I had a name change before I was 5, thanks to mom. And then when I was old enough, I'm like, why did that happen? And she said something, something numerology. So I'm like about 9 years old. I'm like, what's that? As a mom would back then, she says, oh, you're too young to know. That's
Mm,
what did it. So she had a whole bunch of books on numerology, grabbed them all, read them all. I probably read, at one point, it was 40 books of numerology. It's gone way up. And now I won't because I like overload. And in this process, I remember over and over, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due because Faith Javane and Dusty Bunker wrote Numerology and the Divine Triangle. I'm in love with
mm,
that book. And I kept seeing it, and I kept seeing that they had double delineations. But the first part, as traditional numerology says, break everything down to a single digit. For example, if something adds to 10, you take the 1 and the 0, you add that up, you get the number 1. So everything in traditional numerology would explain what the numbers 1 through 9 are. But
right.
then I'm like, why are these double digits if we're not utilizing them? And then, of course, as spirit does, these concepts were given to me through spirit. I know my guides' names, but I can't name which one. And then I remember having a dream where I don't think it was a dream. I was in a library and there was a book in my hand and there was this beautiful heavenly blue light. I couldn't tell where it stopped, but it ended up in my hand in the book. And I looked and it said tarot. So I'm like, okay, well, Then I realized from given this from spirit, each one of your names, say like my name is Dyan Starr. I don't have a middle name. Each name, Dyan and Starr, separately, each have something that I have agreed to through my sacred contract to come down and experience. So I take the numbers, I put them on there, and I don't reduce it to a single digit. So our tarot has the archetypes up to 78. And above that, I still have a process of analyzing each number. So that's how that came to me. And that's why mine is different, where a traditional numerologist would say, or some people say, oh, yeah, I'm an 11. I'm like, okay, well, maybe you're a 74 first. And if you're a 74 in tarot, well, then you're the 6 of Pentacles. And if you read that first and then go and read the 11 and then read the 2, because they're all of the 2 frequency, you have a lot more information now about yourself, which is a lot more accurate than just the single digit. So I think that's a long answer to your question, but
Well, first of all, when you talked about that the gift came and that you saw a blue flame, I've been recently studying gematria, which for those people who don't know, it's like God's math of the Kabbalah. And I'm studying it from the perspective of a Baleo with my mentor. And I had to unlearn, as a mathematics major, I had to unlearn wanting to do this linear way of math. And I am now retraining my brain to basically be able to look at how God's math works. And I'm just going to put it like that, God's math, because it
you
is
know,
not linear.
no,
Okay. And I'm not going to go into trying to describe and trying to detail it. But what it is that there is an intuitive sense of understanding and there of how the patterns fall, how you navigate through the patterns, and how you embrace the meanings of each and every one of the numbers, and that each and every one of the numbers has a meaning. And so in gematria, I'm relating it back to the Hebrew
yes,
alphabet. However, that's there's many roads to the one, right?
yes, yes,
We've
yes.
forgotten. And so I love the fact that the ancients are teaching me now, even though it's through the books and the studies, and then
Yes.
the blessings, because not everybody gets it and not everybody can get it, you know?
Well, that you bring up a good point. It takes a certain person to seek out someone to do their numerology chart, or to seek out someone who's a homeopath. It takes a certain type of, you have to be ready, willing, and able for that. And I literally say that prayer in like before this podcast and before every time I do a chart or put something on my TikTok. I literally pray to connect my heart to God, and then to connect that to whoever needs that message, and to connect our hearts. And so whatever comes through, whether it comes through them or me, that the highest, most loving message comes through. I don't care who it comes through. And for me, the moment I have a name or a number, well, I'm tuned in. It's instant. So yes, and like you said, we need to study, and interesting. And then I'll keep talking unless you stop me. I'm
No,
a way
no,
to
no,
do that.
you're fine, because I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I'm going to take it to the next level of the conversation, which is that, people are saying, oh, yeah, tuned in. Well, I'm tuned in, but we're not talking about tuned in. We're talking about that leap of octave. We're talking about the fact that I dwell within the timelessness to acquire the wisdom
Mm,
in order to channel through that which the wisdom is informing me, in
yes.
order to share with you what is coming through the numbers.
Oh
Is
my
that,
gosh. And then to trust that.
and to trust it.
That's one of the biggest issues that I've seen from the women who I know and love, and in my family, and in the suppression and the repression. Oh, and I was raised to be a good little codependent. Boy, was I a good little codependent. And finally, after the last narcissist, like narcissist after narcissist, I'm like, wait a minute, who's the common denominator? Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I realized, oh, my feelings are also important. My opinions are also important. I get to have a say. Wow, my emotions get to be valued. Well, that was an explosion of opposite of everything I was raised with. So exactly what you're saying is true, that tuning in and specifically with the intent to connect to divine, to love on any level, that just brings me joy. And then for me to I'm so excited because I tried this. I said because I'm like, oh, people are psychic, they're so gifted, I wish I had, whatever gift. And I'm
Yep.
like, people know their guides. So I literally did this one night. I said, I took my notebook because I like to write at night. Dear spirit guide of mine, who are you? Well, thank God I drank a lot of water that night. 5 in the morning, I have to pee real bad. But first I had a dream, and the only reason I remembered it is because I drank the water, had to pee. So before I went up and got to the bathroom, I pull out my notebook because the dream was literally this tall man shows up and he goes, "Hi, I'm your spirit guide." And I went, "Oh my gosh, I recognize you." And he didn't say his name, but I felt his name. So it's David. So now I brag and I share. I'm like, "Hey, if you don't know your spirit guide, ask because they will, in a really fun way, introduce themselves." So
That's phenomenal. I don't know
yes.
my spirit guide.
Oh, ask. And they're so you're gonna crack up. And then so let me just share with you because you're gonna do this. First of all, I'm told they love it, and I'm pretty sure they do. And I'm gonna share when one of my friends did this. And again, I was never like massively gifted like a medium. And my dear friend who wasn't massively medium gifted either, she said the same thing. And about a week later, she got a postcard and it showed a name called Millie. And then she knew instantly because she used to live on a street called Millie in New York. And she goes,
Uh-huh.
"That's my guide. I know it." So we're cracking up.
Wow.
So they always, and here's what I always tell people, you're communicating with your guides. Don't be scared because if it's not love, it's not for you. And if it's
Mhm,
not love, it's not even real. Anything that's
mhm,
not love is just an illusion. And so when they work with you, they love it. And then they love to do something fun. And so they're going to mess with you in a really good way. Because I'm telling
uh-huh.
you, my guides laugh at me all the time. I give them a lot of material to laugh at me. So, yeah, you're going to love this. And then you're going to call me and tell me, "Dyan, guess what? I know who it is. I had the formal introduction."
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm gonna give it a try too. And I will do
Yes.
that. I will give you a call. I absolutely
Okay.
will.
Okay, and sometimes you'll notice, like, a song keeps getting
Uh-huh.
played, and there's might be a name to the song,
Okay.
so there's just it's a beautiful way, and it's their way with you personally, and then I'm gonna hear from you. Yes, you're on.
Okay.
I'll be waiting.
All right. All right. All right. So tell us your story. Tell us the journey to numerology. I mean, I
Yes,
understand that you read like the 9 books, right? But
40 or more.
40 or more. I'm 9 years old. 40 or more. See, the
Yeah.
number 9 is sticking out
Yes,
for me. And
I
but,
will.
but there is there a precipice in that?
Yes.
And see, for me, I had multiple. And so for me, it was like I kept seeing triple numbers, double numbers everywhere I looked. I see a pattern in everything, you know. I remember everything that moves. Like I drive my husband nuts because it's just like it was this, and now that's out of place. Like
Yeah.
I immediately I get it and I notice, and I kept having these leaps of differences that it was just like, wow, it wasn't like this before. Now it's really intense, and wow, it wasn't like this before. Now it's really intense. Like I want to go there with you because this I know how in tuned you are.
Yes, yes, I'm excited. I love this question. Okay, so to start, when I was born, my name was Roberta Joanne Schlender. My dad was Robert, so Roberta. My mom was Joan, so I was Joanne. And of course, German, good German name, Schlender. And
Mhm.
I remember I was not even 5 because I was a little girl, and mom loved, she was like not an adept, but she was intrigued and took classes. And she changed everyone's name. And even my dad says, "Change my name." She said, "I'm going to divorce you." He goes, "I don't care. Do it anyway." So I remember not being 5 and going to the next door neighbor who said, "Hi, Roberta." And I said, That's not my name. My name is Dyan. And she didn't believe me till she talked to my mom. And I'm like, huh, I was right. Anyway, as little kids do. But
Yeah.
anyway, so then that's what like I said, when I was older and said, hey, and she had all these books and she's like, no, you're too young to know. And I grabbed one and I love numerology because it's so simple and not knowing anything, being 9 years old, pulling out a book, opening it up, and if you can add numbers 1 through 9, and now with my method up to 78, so that's a lot more complicated, but I can still add up to 78. Right away, I was reading stuff, and of course, I'm a Leo, and I'm like, oh, it's all about me. As we do, we're kids. And I loved it. And then I remember I couldn't get my hands on enough of them. And that's all I wanted. And that's all I could read. And then at the age of about 15, sitting with my mom and a friend of hers, she was talking about a relationship. And I asked her for some numbers. And I said, oh, well, with all the ones in your name, you're too independent for him. And he's a little needy. And she was like, I can't believe a 15-year-old is telling me this. And she was like old, like in her 30s, Enolia,
Okay.
like way
Okay.
old. Yeah. Anyway, that started it. That's a fit, right? And then I always loved it, but this method hadn't come to me yet. And somehow, and I don't remember when or where, but like I said, Faith Javane and Dusty Bunker with numerology and the Divine Triangle being my absolute favorite. And then somewhere, even though I spent all those 27 years as a court reporter, which is ironic because I figured out my karma number being a 7, I wasn't allowed to speak. I had to write every word everyone said. So for 27, yeah, plus 5 as a court reporter, so 32 years, and 32 has a meaning and is significant in tarot
Good
and
job.
numerology. Yes. And so here I am, being this court reporter, making money, being a single mom, going through all these experiences, doing charts. And then this information comes to me, and I got to be a much better reader. And then I knew at some point, I'd always hated court reporting,
Mhm.
loved the people, but the work itself, I'm like, ugh. And
Yeah.
I knew I needed to write a book. So it took over 10 years to write a book. And let me tell you a
Oh,
little about
wow.
this book. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. It's been a process. As I started writing it, I wrote the whole thing and went, I don't like it. So I wrote it a second time. And then, yes, as you know, and then each number I wrote put me through an initiation, every single one of them. I'm like, huh, what's going on? And then I had writer's block, you know,
Okay.
and then my beautiful mommy Barbara Colgan in heaven. I'm sure she's with me right now with my actual mommy too. Um,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I have to sit and write my book and it's not fun because it's not with a person. And she goes, no, you get to write your book. So what changed it for me, because I love people, like talking to you, I'm like, yes, yay, this is fun. In front of a computer, I'm like, oh, it's a computer screen. And then what I did was, because I had done so many charts at this time and this beautiful star method had been gifted to me, is then I would recall for whatever number the person most connected with that historically and personally whose chart I had done. And suddenly I was able to be back in my flow. So I did
Oh.
all that. And then I'm like, I need a publisher. And then one day, my chiropractor, love him, love you, Dr. Don. Anyway, James Don, Long Beach, he's great. He called me and goes, Diane, I'm going to pay you to do a chart for this lovely woman. And she's a fabulous reader. I did her chart. She loved it. She was blown away. And she goes, so, so how can I help you? And I said, well, I wrote a book and I need a publisher. She goes, my friend's son is a publisher. Boom, done. So,
Then,
and then I kept getting 222, like angel numbers.
yeah.
Well, the book is out. I love it. But then some wonderful viewer on my TikTok channel was like, where's the chapter on about zero? Well, my publisher kind of left it out. So he goes, let's do a second edition, which I put a whole bunch more good stuff in there. And I'm so excited. In about 2 weeks, it's going to be on Amazon. And then in this process, the last and final initiation, and I love to talk about this because this is very significant, I kept getting, because I play with the tarot and I do angel card readings as well as charts because they're all combined. The devil kept showing up for my angel card. And the devil is one of our greatest teachers
Right.
because we create that. And so surely enough, in real life at this moment, there's an experience of someone who's also here who represents to me everything about that. And I've been having to deal with my anger and rage and the healing and the Ho'oponopono as the
Yeah.
final. Yes, and then finally getting to meet you. And my book is like 2 weeks away, the second edition, from being exactly what I want. It feels like it's all coming together, but the final one was the devil. And I'm like, of course. And even Jesus, and again, loosely, biblically, um, he at some point faced the devil as well. And we all do in whatever form or another. And
Right.
I even put in my book, because some people have 15, which represents the devil in numerology. They'll have that. And again, we can't single digit that. If we do, we miss the gift of the devil. And when I've
Right.
seen charts that have 15 for either someone's spiritual path number or in their heart number, I'm so excited because I'm like, hey, you're going to help people get over their own addictions and find their own freedom. And then
Wow.
I want to take that a little further, because historically, because number is everything, I believe
Right.
Pythagoras. And
Right.
historically, we had Buchanan as our 15th president, James Buchanan, and he didn't take a stand. So this is an example of the lesson the devil shows us. He did not
Right.
take a stand on slavery. The
Okay.
16th president, or the 16 being the tower, coming down and destructively destroying that which is no longer should stand. We had Abraham Lincoln and our Civil War finally to say, no, human beings deserve equality. So that's kind of a little brief story about my book that took over 10 years, and everything had to be repeated twice.
Well, of course, it had to be retweeted. But hey, I rewrote my book 4 times. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, we
yeah,
get it.
we
We
get
get
it.
it.
We
Did
get
it
it.
take you that long to write?
No, it actually didn't take me that long to write, but sometimes we follow the influences of other people, and we shouldn't. And
Yes.
second iteration, I followed the influence of someone, and it didn't sound like me. It wasn't my voice, so I rewrote it again. And then it was me, and then I found a literary agent, and then I rewrote it again. So go figure. And the rewrite, the fourth time was the fact that she said I had too much and I should have multiple books, and that I'm giving everybody too much at once. So I took one chapter and out of the book and blew it up to a full book. And
Oh,
that's my book, Finding My Sovereign Voice with My Grandmother Elder. And so I have many to come. There's still more
yeah.
to come, you know.
Yes,
But
you do.
but it was important.
Wow.
Really, really important.
It is.
So
It's like your baby and you're giving birth all over again.
yes, yes.
Yes. And I
So
couldn't believe it. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to. I don't want you to have just told that story and then not grab a couple of things out of a couple of golden nuggets out of it. So when did you have your first outing? When did you start publicly doing this? Because you said at 15 you told one person and chimed into what hers was, and twice your age. But then there's this outing of, okay, we're going to practice numerology.
There was then a friend of my mom's who called me, and I was telling her what was going on with her numbers. And then she had a friend of hers call me. And then at work, of course, as a court reporter, and then looking at my life, if I didn't have numerology, by the way, my insanity would not be what it is today. It literally helped not make it easier, but it helped put into perspective why I chose what I chose. And so it kind of grew from there. And then I remember giving some classes. And then after leaving, like I said, the last narcissistic relationship, just shutting down everything and working on the book. And of course, I'm still doing charts today and reading. So I have people who call me, and I don't have yet a website because I like social media and I also don't like it. So I'm like, I want to have a website, but I don't want to be owned by it, kind of thing.
Right.
So, and I always put out there, whoever needs this will find me. And that's kind of what's going on right now. And I let it stay that way. But people have always like, I'll get a phone call, hey, I need you, or like the old neighborhood I used to work at, this dear little next door neighbor, he called me up. He's an adult now. He goes, I need a reading. So I'm like, okay. And it just, I've done hundreds. When I
Okay.
add them up, I've done hundreds. And not only of clients, but also of, I like going back in history, and if someone is known for something, I like to do their name. Like, for example, and I've done a lot of these with our dear friend Louis,
Yeah.
Geronimo. Yes,
Yeah.
and I love to see what is it that stands out, because if anyone is known for something, there will be a particular pattern that shows up. It's not accidental.
Right.
And so, like, when I did, he was like, hey, how about Geronimo? I'm like, great. Well, the number 26 is the number that I channel when, for Geronimo, I channel him when I'm doing 26. So, for example, the Page of Wands and the experience he had represents that energy. I mean,
Right.
having his family, or the number 24, our Queen of Wands. Whenever I see a 24, I'm like, oh, well, that's Malcolm X, who has more of the 24 in his chart than anyone else historically. So,
Right.
whatever it is you're good at, it shows up, as
Okay.
well
Okay.
as, yes. And interestingly, as well as any karma. So, karma, again, I had shared this definition with you. It's not you're bad and you must be punished. That's not a thing. Karma is just something that we choose to experience to its extreme, not in its balanced state. And then thereby it becomes our power. That we literally, the things we go through that hurt us the most become our power. Like, if someone's an alcoholic, and who isn't addicted to something, we're human, and then they overcome that. That's the experience that we like to bring. And for some people who don't have an obvious karma in their name, just the fact you're born and breathing says you have come here to learn something, as well as be the teacher. We're always in teacher, we're student teacher, and what's that, perpetrator victim role? That's always going
Yeah.
on until we're
Yeah.
aware of it. And then we get to stand in our true power. And so, and then writing my book, I want to add here, this was weird. The numbers that were most challenging, I was in my flow, like the devil, the 15, or the three of swords, the 57, or the 45, or 5 of cups. So things that had sadness being an aspect or a challenge emotionally. I'm like, ooh, I know all about this. The easy ones, I was having a hard time with the happiness. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
does this relate to worthiness being a challenge of mine? Maybe a little, maybe.
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So, I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to numerically just show people what you're doing. So, why don't you do the infinite way? Just
Oh,
the
yeah,
name the infinite way, so that they can kind of get a feel for.
you're on. I also like to point out, when I speak of karma, before we do the infinite way, in the name Lord Jesus Christ, which I've shared with you before, there's no G, P, or Y in that, which means his karma was 7, and 7 is the spirit, and he took on everyone's. That was his karma. Again, not a punishment, but
Not
just,
a punishment.
nope, there's no such thing. So the infinite way. I love the word the. I've actually done a little TikTok on the, because it's
Okay.
fascinating. So, and again, we take each name individually. The has its place because that's what you're calling it, the infinite way. So each one individually and then collectively, because that's the
Oh,
sacred contract we have with ourselves and with the names. So we
okay.
have
And
eight.
tell us a little bit tidbit on the, because you said it was interesting. You did a little bit. Give us the
I will.
history of. Okay.
When we say the, we have E as the vowel. E is 5. So we put the number 5. And then 5 is the human form. And when we have 5, and each number, by the way, has its lowest expression and its highest. And for every number, there is the potential for absolute enlightenment or absolute destruction. It's all free will. It's all good. So, and we
Right.
get to take as many lifetimes as we want to figure out what works for us.
Okay.
So the 5 is the heart, which says the human experience. And I just
Mhm.
said the in saying the human experience. And then the outer personality, consonants. The T is 2, the H is 8. So that's 10. So when we say it's like my human experience is seeking, and then the outer personality, the 10, the wheel of fortune, to turn things around for the better. And then when we add 5 plus 10, we get 15, which cracks me up. We were just talking about this. That's the devil. So we need to decide every time we say are we limiting ourselves? So the devil always asks us, are we putting ourselves in bondage by attaching us to because when we say we're not saying all, we're saying selectively one. So the infinite way, are we connecting ourselves to bondage or freeing ourselves up? And when I see 15 in the destiny, says the gift of teaching you yourself how to laugh at yourself and find true break away from addiction of any sort. So it's the gift when we say to give someone the opportunity to break away from the patterns and the delusions we are going in, or what are your belief systems that are keeping you stuck to your negative patterns? What's holding you back? What part of you? It's never external. So that's so 15
I love
says the
that.
gift. Me too. Me too. And then infinite. So, oh my gosh, I like to talk about the I, and I think I've shared this with you that first time, just the letter
Yeah.
I. So we have which says specifically only this one, and that might be exactly what we need to free ourselves from our devil or take us deeper into it. Either way, we figure it out. The I, though, is 9, and 9 is the hermit, which is the macrocosm, the
Yeah.
entire universe. Every time we say I followed up with anything, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, I'm powerful, I'm worthy, or even a negative, I'm unworthy, I'm sad, whatever, you're connecting yourself to the cosmic consciousness where all things are possible and experiencing the impersonal life. But first, you have to take it personally before you can absorb it totally and then release it. So that's the letter I. And you have a lot of I's in infinite. And then there's the E. And then let's see, 5, 6, 5, 2. It helps. I have to say them out loud. I
Hey,
talk
it's
to
okay
them.
because those people who are watching in our audience that are numerologists are learning something right now because they're going to see the difference in the way that you do it with the star system. So this is good.
I love this because, okay, for infinite in the heart, which is the vowels, this is beautiful. The 3 nines plus 5 is 32. 32 is our 6 of wands. And what this says, every time you say infinite, the 32 shows literally a rider on the horse with the victory wreath around her head and people cheering. And what this says is the battle was long, brutal, and well fought. You maintained your integrity. You left no man behind, and your success is being celebrated by the universe. That's the heart of infinite. That's just the vowels. And this is why we don't break down the 32. You will later, you can, because it's a 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. And 5 is our Hierophant. And she loves the entire universe and the world. She loves different countries, different foods, different flavors, different colors of people, different skin tones, eye colors. So she's multiverse. And so we take first the double digit. And then let's add up the consonants or personality when we say infinite. And we get
Mhm.
10. Oh, here's another one I love. Oh my gosh. Well, pretty much all of them. I can't help it. So for the outer personality, there's N, F, N, and T in infinite. That's 18. This is such a powerful number. This takes guts. It's the moon. The moon shines in the darkness. And let me explain this. The darkness is our own subconscious. When you say infinite, you are brave enough to delve into the darkest parts of yourself. And that's terrifying for a lot of us until we feel that we're ready, willing, and able. And for a lot of
Mhm.
women, for example, this was shared with me by my ex-husband. See, there was some good stuff from him. So
Mhm.
that a lot of women, a lot of their trauma doesn't come out until post-menopausal when they feel safe enough and truly grounded enough to do this. So when you say infinite, the heart is the battle and success, and then the outer personality number from delving into your own subconscious and finding out all the dark places that you have finally are ready, willing, and able, and have the courage and the love and the non-judgment to face yourself and heal. That's the word infinite. And now let's go to the word way. Oh, wait, the destiny first. That's a 0, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it adds up to 50. The vowels plus the consonants in infinite, 32 plus 18. And that's the 10 of cups. Once we've done this journey into our subconscious, the darkest parts is the joy and the healing, and then we get 50, and the 50 literally shows a rainbow, all these cups, and they're filled. The cups are the emotions and the water, and there's literally family and children, and there it just shows the happiness that comes from when you're ready, willing, and able to take on your own self. That takes
Okay.
guts. Okay, now the word way. So we have A and Y, and then the W, and then that's 8. Okay, I love this. So the A and the Y, 1 plus 7, that's 8. Well, when you say Jesus, the E and the U, that also adds up to 8. 8 is strength. 8 also says, by the way, this is the reason why Jesus had to be incarnated physically. 8 is, I am strong in the physical realm. 7 says, I'm strong in the spiritual realm. 8 says, I'm strong in the physical. So 8 says, my body is strong, my bank account is strong, my boundaries are strong. Bullies, yeah, here's my line, and I'm not going to let you cross that. And so Jesus had that. He knew he had to be in physical form on the planet to help carry out his 7 karma, the spirit of all of us. So the word way, 8 says it will require strength, and it will require a physical journey, not just the spiritual one, but my physical self will undergo this beautiful, powerful change. And I'm claiming back my strength. I'm claiming back my boundaries. And then the outer personality of that, and there's a lot of 5s in this, the number 5. So then the word the, in the heart, there's the 5. In infinite, the 32 adds up to 5, the 50 adds up to 5, because 5 plus 0, and then we get 5 again. So we have the Hierophant all over this. She brings people together. At its lowest, the Hierophant, the 5 is the pentagon used in particular weird stuff. So like I said, there's high and low for each number. At its highest,
Right.
man overcomes his base nature. So it doesn't
Okay.
mean he becomes celibate and denies everything. No, he does things in balance, but he's in charge and he doesn't let it take him over, men and women.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the 5. And the 5 is open to all the world, all cultures, all languages. 5 is very dexterous too, by the way. And
Okay.
then when we add 8 plus 5, this is funny because August 5, that's my birthday. When we add 8 plus 5, we get 13. And 13 is the number of Jesus Christ, or I should say in tarot, it's called death. Death and transformation. You know, in the old days, people were scared of 13 because they saw death. But if you turn the page, it'll say and transformation. The wise loved the 13 because they knew a good change that was needed was coming. And often the 13 would upend the as is political system that was corrupt. So 13 destroys, not gently, but destroys anything that had corruption to open it for the love to come through. So let's add now. Now that's just each name individually. Let's add up the totals. So we have 13 plus 32. So the heart number. Oh, I was just talking about this. The infinite way, when we add 5, 32, and 8, these are the vowels or the heart number. I get 45. Oh my gosh, there's there's this whole city where people move to and everyone is weird. Okay, this is a 5 of cups. And let me just explain what this means. This person is sad and they're crying because they've been disappointed repeatedly in their relationships or in maybe their church or their religion, whatever it is. Something they thought was heartfelt has given them disappointment. That's not a negative, because 45, the 5 of cups, then the spilled cups, God is offering that final cup, because then that person becomes the mystic. The occult is huge in the lessons that this person undergoes, and they couldn't take this other person with them, or maybe their religion, because it's time for them to come up with their own new belief system or their own new way of doing things that can't involve the old way or the old patterns. So this is the number of the mystic. And what is that city where everyone they put on the beach, they have the parades, that whole city in the United States, and I can't remember, but that I did the numerology of that one city, and they do the parades, they throw the beads, and they're anyway, that's a portal. It's not just a city, it's a portal, and all the crazy, you can even go into all the psychic shops there. But 45 is the heart of the infinite way,
Okay.
which says You find yourself by yourself to find what truly was beautiful in you all the time. It separates you from others. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the heart. Let's do the outer personality. 28 plus 5. We talked about 32. I love this. So the consonants, 10 plus 18 plus 5, that also adds up to 32, which says after this battle, this long fought battle, hard won, I am successful because I found the true gifts within myself, the 45. That's what the 5 of Cups is about. Yes, you're
Mhm.
crying over these other people. They were a gift to you and they had to be in your life for a while and then they had to go. So your sadness and your isolation could lead you to what's already been in here, your greatest teacher. That's the 45, with the outer personality number, the 32 being successful at it, the infinite way. You will never disappoint yourself because you went inside. And then when we add
Okay.
the 45 plus 32, oh my God, this is cracking me up. Oh my gosh, 77. It's a master number. The master. Oh my God. And it literally shows, okay, this is the 9 of Pentacles for the tarot people, but the 77 is literally, it shows in my deck, it's different in all of them, but a woman, she's by herself, but she's wealthy. She has learned her emotions and the healing and the ups and downs, but she has mastered that in herself. She's wealthy emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, and she has a hawk, which is only for the wealthy to do. And this represents when you take the challenge of the infinite way, that's the whole process that leads you back to yourself. Done. There you go, in a nutshell.
Okay. Oh my
Since you
goodness.
asked.
Since I asked, exactly, exactly. I don't even know how to. Wow, what a wealth of information.
Or I'm seeing
And
what's
so,
in the infinite way. There's no C, L, or U, and I don't see a D, M, or V. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I like to see the karma or what has this wanted to take on. 3 says knowing the one's worth. So the
mm,
infinite way has taken on, like Jesus, Lord Jesus Christ took on the 7. He had the 7 karma, no G, P, or Y in that. He took on the spirit. Like he wants to. So the infinite way says, if you do not know your self-worth, you are on the path of the infinite way that will lead you back to your worth, the 77, the destiny. And then 4, the 4, there's no D, M, or V in the infinite way. 4 is about structure, organization, military, justice, law. It's like, you make your own. That's what that is. So, yep,
okay.
there you go.
Oh well, that and I chose that.
I'm not surprised. I am so this is beautiful. I'm cracking up. Yeah, no, you didn't give me this beforehand.
No, I did not. I absolutely didn't. I didn't.
And you
Oh
know what
my
else?
goodness. Go ahead.
It's also fun if you have a nickname that people give you, put the numbers on it, that's how they see you. Or if you have a nickname for them, put the numbers on it, that's how you see them. And it's really fun to see. It's absolutely, or if you want to, when you name your baby or like your business. And then the more
Yes.
charts I've done, the more it has proven, and I've always believed in God, but the more charts I've done, the more it's proven that to me because mathematically, my timing the day I met you had a specific meaning for me and for both of us and for everyone in our lives who we meet at that exact time is precise and who we are in our charts are we are affecting like if you meet someone and say they become your dear friend, their spiritual path is what you need. Your spiritual path is what they need. You're doing an energy exchange that is such a gift. And sometimes that friendship is meant to last, other times it's temporary. So, like if you meet someone in a 9, that's unfinished business. Don't expect it to last forever. The other numbers, it can. If you meet someone in a 7, you need to be attuned spiritually or they're sucking your energy because 7s are open in the spiritual plane so much. And 7s tend to get sick more than others. And it's usually not because of themselves, but their energy, they absorb it all. So the 7s need to learn physical and spiritual boundaries. So yeah, I'm loving that name that you picked. I'm not surprised. Number is everything.
Number is everything, and I think that we're coming up on an hour, and I would love to continue this conversation for the way past that. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of numbers, some people stray away from numbers, but the one thing that we should recognize about numbers, and this reading Pythagoras and everybody else, is that numbers are the only universal language across all languages. Numbers are the only thing that no matter what culture you're in, no matter where you are, no matter who you meet, no matter what they speak, everybody understands numbers. Everybody understands numbers. And so it is the only truly universal language throughout the world. And it actually beyond,
1000%.
beyond the world. And then that is a testament because numbers comes from consciousness. And so that universal consciousness we have gave us the universal language. And then from that universal language, we all grew from there. Your thought?
Absolutely. It's frequency. God spoke. Well, speaking is a frequency, and frequency has a numeric value. You can calculate that frequency. I'm
Yes.
born on this specific day. If you're born one day after, that completely changes. You take an atom for a particle, you want sugar, you want water, you have to change one little thing, and it's a completely different outcome. These are immutable spiritual laws. And then wherever there's a number, you can define what that frequency is. And yeah, I can't stop doing it. I'm addicted. It's my passion, as you can
Just
tell.
love that you have that and what a contribution you give to the world. What would you say to all of those other uh what would you say to the audience? What would you leave the audience with? Or maybe what would you leave other numerologists with?
This is my method. I found it to be profound, and that will not take away ever from whatever method someone else has. And one day someone will take mine and make it even better. And that's always the hope. And for everything, we need to learn and absorb, because if we have a part of our lives, we have to learn. And then we utilize that. But in a way, only we can. We have our own specific frequency. I'm grateful for the traditional numerology. And then for this to be given to me, it's so simple and yet is so profound. And then I want someone else, if I went to see someone else, I would appreciate and value how they did it too. And there's just that level of humanity and calibration. And it doesn't matter how you do it, what you're good at. If you're doing what you're anointed at, it's a gift to all of us. Because here's the other thing I learned. I am God's gift to everyone in my life, and everyone in my life is God's gift to me. And if I see it any other way, I have forgotten my worth, or I have forgotten what a gift you are to me, even if I don't instantly recognize that. I like to leave that.
I love that. I love that. And with that said, I want to just say thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do, that all that you bring. Thank you for sharing with us here on The Infinite Way. I am in deep gratitude and appreciate it. And, I just want to remind and share with those who might be listening and learning and something new. Number one, that there's room for everything and there's room for all of us. There are billions of people in the world, and there's no one single way of doing anything. There are many roads to the one, and it doesn't make it
Absolutely.
wrong or right. It just makes it different, and that's all it is.
Absolutely. Yes. Amen. Yes. Yes. That's beautiful. And I'm so excited. I feel like a little girl. Thank you for letting me share. I'm loving this. I'm completely loving this. Yes.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for all that you bring. And to our audience, if you like what you heard, then please do share it and please subscribe to us. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And this has been another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. Join us on our next episode. And until then, thank you and have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed rest of day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.